So you see a beautiful tank, there's tons of plants, there's reds, there's greens, you see all sorts of exotic fish, and you say, I want that now, and you go buy everything to get that. A month later, you have an aquarium with hair algae, you might have dead fish, you run into all sorts of problems. Where did you make the mistake? Where did you go wrong? You got a big mess on your hands. This video, I'm going to be telling you, getting into the hobby, how you should start. And because it can be confusing, it can be real confusing, and I think we need to learn how to do basic fish care before we are moving into some of the most advanced aquariums you're looking on social media, and then you're jumping right into it and saying, I want that. Can that be done out of the gate? Yes, but it's probably more on the rare side. If you do all your homework up front and you really spend a lot of time understanding right out of the gate, but that's not practical, and that's not what most people do. Most people are going to jump in, they're going to be overwhelmed, they're going to run into a bunch of problems. You're going to go onto the internet, you're going to be looking at videos, how to do this, how to stop this, how to keep my fish alive. And so let's talk about how we should approach this hobby instead of just impulse, going right into it and going to the big leads right out of the gates. You're going to see videos all over the place. It's easy. I've said it myself. Fish keeping is easy. Fish keeping is easy, but it's also as hard as you want to make it too. But if you don't have the basic fundamentals of keeping basic fish alive first, and you're going to go to the top, trying to keep some of the hardest plants, trying to keep some of the hardest fish, and not understanding or have the experience of recognizing issues that are happening before they start, you come into all sorts of problems. My name's Jacob. If you can, hit the subscribe button. I am working on making better content, yeah, that is right. Better videos, contents for you, for entry-level people getting in the hobby. I really want to get more people into the hobby, because I think it's something that can bring a lot of peace, joy, and activity. There's so much that this hobby can bring, just looking at tanks, looking at plants. It's community, it's responsibility, it's patience, and it goes on for a long time. Let's start out. You're getting your first aquarium. This is what I recommend. I recommend you when you're getting into the hobby, let's try to keep, if you're going to do fish, shrimp, plants, you're going to do them all, you want to focus on one or two at a time, and you're going to look for the most basic, hardiest things ever. You want to get plants that are super hard to kill, fish that are super hard to kill, because right now we are trying to just understand what your aquarium's going to do for the next 6 months to a year. Before we go dump down on all these rare exotic plants, hard to keep fish, hard to keep shrimp, we want to understand what healthy fish look like, healthy plants look like, healthy shrimp look like, and go from there. Myself, I am not a plant person. I grow easy plants. I keep easy shrimp. Fish, I keep easy fish. I keep maybe a little harder fish. I haven't done the discus. Discus are one of the most delicate. There's some super rare, like fussy tetras and nanos. But for the most part, I keep fairly easy keeping things. But what's easy for me may not be easy for somebody else. And it can go all over the place. People that have been in the hobby for many, many years and have seen it all, what happens is, what can be a suggestion as this is an easy starting way to do it may not still be easy enough for a lot of people, because we tend to do, as fish keeper, the longer we do this, we've seen it all, we've gone through it many times, we've had many challenges, and so what becomes more easy for us there's a bias in there where it's not just like the starting point of, when I'm talking easy, I'm talking about colored rocks or any color of rocks with plastic plants, with maybe a guppy, maybe a goldfish. And and that necessarily can't even be easy because you got disease you're dealing with. So I'm talking about real simple hardy fish with plastic plants with a simple light, and then you move to, let's get some type of plant, go to the next level in fish, go to the different phases of filtration and all this. It just keeps on stacking up. But you gotta start. Some of you are gonna have to start on the ground floor, which is plastic plants, and learning how your aquarium's going to go through its cycle, what you should look for in healthy fish, what are the signs fish are not happy. And then once you master that, move to the next level. When I got back into fish keeping 6 years ago, I was an African cichlid person, where up to 6 years ago, I never knew what the nitrogen cycle was. I heard of it, but did I understand it? The answer is no. I kept fish for 15 years with not truly understanding it. And even to this day, if I had to make a seminar about the nitrogen cycle, I could do it maybe at a high school level. But I don't need to know it at the scientific method. But I never even knew what that. I didn't even pay attention to that. I was taught how to fish keep was go get your tank, at the time it was underground filters, run an underground filter in there, put some coarse crushed coral underneath for substrate, let it run for 2 weeks, come back, let's get you a fish, let it run for a week or two, come back, let's grab you a couple more fish. In between doing small water changes, never had a test kit, never had these test strips didn't evolve. I mean, wasn't even around at the time. And test kits, most people couldn't even afford a test kit, nor do. The problem with test kits, if you don't really know what the hell you're looking at and how to really read it, you might be doing yourself a disservice. So I kept fish forever, not even knowing anything. I knew about pH. I knew I had hard water because that's what everybody was telling me. We have hard water and my pH was high. So what I'm trying to get at is you don't necessarily need to know everything in this scientific method, which the hobby has become complicated because of information and so much information coming at once, and you go, and the hobby can be tweaked. And at the end of the day, we're all doing it the same, but there's this little tweaks that make it look like we're doing it different. But when it comes to filter, we're all doing it basically the same, besides maybe one method. We're using a sponge, we're using a pump, we're using air to move water through media where live bacteria grows, which is good bacteria, and it also captures debris. And the good bacteria is eating the bad bacteria. That's the simplest way. Just like your stomach, you got good bacteria that eats bad bacteria. It's just simple approach. If you want to really learn the nitrogen cycle and really learn how to use test strips, it's beneficial and you should. But is it you have to? No. I'm very confident I could tell a brand new fish keeper without having any of this kind of stuff say I want the same thing. Go get your tank, set it up, get it running, come back 2 weeks, I'll get you a fish, do a 20% water change, feed it sparingly, and another 2 weeks we'll get you a couple more, and then we'll just move it out. We'll start adding plants. We'll start adjusting your light, the height of your light. We'll start deciding, are we going to use root tabs? Excuse me. But getting back to this, we need to learn how to keep a basic fish first. Once we do that, That might take 6 months, a year. It takes a long time for your fish, your aquarium, to really come in, to really age enough that it can really help your fish when you're putting new fish in. A lot of times in the beginning, people deal with so many problems because they're rushing the process too fast. They're putting fish into sterile environments where there's just not enough bacteria growth, which causes your fish to stress. Then it gets a cold, then it gets sick, then it dies. You don't see it in the corner. It's in behind a rock. Then your ammonia spikes up. Your other fish start gasping for air. And then you're going, what am I doing? My water's cloudy, my fish are dying. And it's just because you rushed the process or you purchased a sick fish. Sick fish is a big part of this hobby, and getting into the hobby, like a video right now, new hobbyists are not going to be looking at videos like this or online. There are a lot of new hobbyists are coming from big box stores, impulse. Somebody gave them an aquarium. Hey, I don't want this. It's in the garage. You want it? No, I'll take it. Set it up. Don't have any idea what's going on. Then they run down to their local box store. They sell them a bill of goods, whatever. Maybe they get lucky, they get some good information, and then once they still continues to have problems, then they go on to social media or the internet and start searching how to fix problems in your aquarium. But that can also get complicated too. Because I'm talking about when I got back in the hobby, I was running through some problems and I was searching online, and I kept on thinking it was my water parameters. Water parameters are important, but are they important as some may think? Not necessarily. Sensitive fish? Yes. But breeding fish, triggering fish? Maybe, yes. But as far as just keeping fish alive, I went down a thing where I kept on thinking, because I had some softer water fish, that my water was so hard I was making my fish sick. But my fish were sick from the get-go, so I spent a lot of time buying things that I don't need to buy, trying to get my fish happy, and at the end of the game, I was purchasing very unhealthy fish. This was my problem. And so you have to throw this into your new aquarium as well. Are you getting a fish healthy? This can cause all sorts of problems for new hobbyists, because they can go down the route and do everything and cycle an aquarium the way they're doing, and then they buy their fish and then it dies in a couple weeks, it dies in a few days, and then they go, oh, what, my aquarium cycled, but now is it my water, is it my heater, is my filter not working properly, do I need an air stone? There's all these little things, and it's like you were unlucky and you purchased an unhealthy fish. And then once you finally diagnose, I have sick fish, now you have to go down the rabbit hole. How am I going to treat the fish? I gotta buy, what is my fish, what does it have? Is it even treatable? Can I even treat it? So, although it can get confusing, there's things you can do to really set yourself up right, as far as sourcing your fish from places that can, at least you can eliminate a big part of, do I have a healthy fish? It's huge. What difference does it make if you have an aquarium that you had running for a year? If you bring home something that has disease, it has birth defects or underlying issues, what difference does it make? Doesn't matter how well your aquarium is cycled or how you set it up or what water parameters do you have. So this is so important. As important as getting your tank cycled is the importance of buying healthy live fish, and even how to treat fish in the beginning. Just because you buy a fish that looks healthy, when you bring it home, the added stress can get it sick. So there's some basic things you should probably have, like aquarium salt, some basic antibiotics, and I will do a video about some of the, well, I'll do it right now. Basically have some aquarium salt and maybe some API general cure, or there's some other, like Fritz has a company. There's many brands out there, depending on which one you want. And it's just some, it has I think it's Prozi in it, and Metro. There's some basic meds for that, but here we go again. Is another thing we have to talk about is you're going to hear a thing about quarantined fish and what happens when you only have one tank because you're new to the hobby and you don't have it. So you can always get another tank, or you can get another tote and do the same thing, put a cycle and make that a quarantine. But let's be honest, are people doing that? Are new hobbyists doing that? Or even our hobbyists that have been in it for a while, are they doing that? You may say, somebody that's been watching this, well, that has experience might be saying, well, you better be doing that. Well, let me tell you something. I've been doing this for a long time, and the way I do it, I don't necessarily have quarantine tanks. When I start an aquarium, I usually start it with a species only tank, and those fish are going to be only contained to that tank. And so if I need to treat as I go, then that tank itself will be the quarantine. But over time, it's not a quarantine tank, it's my one tank. So if you have only one tank, this is where it comes a little bit of a problem, because you might want to have some different species of fish, and you're going to be buying them at different times. So this is where I strongly advise you must find a place to purchase fish that they quarantine, they treat, and this is going to cost you a little bit money, but save you more money on the back end, because it may eliminate, I can't say 100%, there's nothing 100%, but most likely you won't have to treat your fish and play Mr. Doctor and try to treat it. The most thing you might have to do is put some aquarium salt or something basic in the aquarium. But by you finding places, and I'm debating on who should I say, and I'm not going to because there's so many good people out there, but if you just do a little search about people that really push I quarantine, you're going to find this in a handful of big operations. Not a lot of operations run it this way. They quarantine real quick. I don't know if they treat. They might treat a little bit, but there's some big operations out there that really, if it takes 2 months to treat the fish, it takes 2 months. It's not 2 weeks. Okay, put a sale sign on there. They will not sell that fish, no matter how long it takes, until that fish is 100%. And their whole motto is built on that. Not to say that you're not going to have problems. We're dealing with live animals, but most likely you're going to not. You're just. It's all percentages, right? So they're going to say, hey, there's a 95% chance buying fish from this place. You shouldn't have any problems. Or you go to this place and there's a 50-50 chance your fish are going to come home with some underlying sicknesses. See what I'm saying? So I'll take the 95, the 98, whatever it is. Or you might be a person that says, hey, I want to learn how to treat. But if you want to learn how to treat, you really need multiple aquariums. Because I'm trying to be realistic in this video, and most people don't have multiple aquariums. Most people have one aquarium, especially in the beginning. If you can have multiple aquariums, it really will help you down the line. But we're just talking about a person that brings home a hobbyist, or just a newbie that brings home one tank and they're trying to get going. Some of you might say, hey, I've never had any of these problems. I just set it up and I go, and clean it every once. Well, that's great, but I see so many people that sometimes are struggling. It's not even that. It's a fact. Look it up. Most people get into the hobby. They last for a year and a half, 2 years, and then they're out. And I've been sitting at big box stores during my killing my lunch hour, and I hear people all the time, oh, I'm here to buy more fish. They last for about 4 or 5 months and they die. I hear this all the time, so I know it's a big part of the hobby, especially when things get expensive, where you have to come and buy new livestock every few months, because that's not the way it's supposed to be. Fish should live nice, long lives, depending on what species it is. Are things going to happen? Yes, sometimes fish just die. There's no reasons. You'll never know the reasons. It's not your water. It's not what you fed them. You will never know why fish die, because fish die in nature all the time. Fish get ate. Fish die just because of birth defects. They get injured, they catch some kind of bacteria, or they get whatever, some fungus, and they die. It's just part of it. But you shouldn't be losing fish. It shouldn't be something like once a week. Oh, I lost another one. I lost another one. I literally have, I don't know how many, but probably 1,000 fish in this tank. And I mean, on all my tanks. And I would say once a week, twice a week, I'll see a couple fish, and the plecos are grazing on a guppy or something like that. And it's just part of it. It's just part of it. There's a lot of fish that just get old and die. Guppies can last from anywhere from 1.5 years up to like pushing 3 years, 3.5 years, if they're really healthy and happy. But really trying to get back on point here, I really want you guys getting into the hobby. I have a goal of having a beautiful fish tank, but learn the basics and don't get overwhelmed with it. You can start an aquarium really simple, and it doesn't matter what type of filtration. It doesn't matter like filter you're using or what type of brand it is. It's getting the simple process of your tank up and running for 2-3 weeks, adding fish to it very slow, feeding sparingly, controlling your light, not having it on too long or not enough, and learning as you go. And when you get confident, things are settling in, your aquarium will start to balance, slowly adding fish or plants, and then watching how everything acts. And then it's like anything, you get into it, you take little steps going forward, instead of just coming home with with 50 aquarium plants, shoving it all in there. You don't know exactly the requirements of them, or you may have a ballpark. You don't know the basic cares, what to look for, what not to look for. It just creates a mess. This hobby is all about being patient, making move. When you have to make a move in an aquarium, you have to change things up. Your aquariums appreciate moving slowly. If you're having a problem with too much hair algae, too much glass algae, saying, hey, I have my aquarium light on for 10 hours a day, and I'm going to cut it down to 5 hours a day. That's a drastic move. You want to go, I got 10 hours a day, I want to move it to 9 hours a day, and then you have to wait for maybe a month to see the change. It's not going to be, well, it's been a week and I'm still just doesn't seem. You have to give it enough time to settle, balance to that adjustment. You may have to raise your light up off the aquarium because it's too bright. Aquarium lights are bright. Most lights are super bright. You'll be really surprised on basic plants, there's a lot of them out there, how little a light they actually need to do well. Another thing that you may run into is my plants are not growing fast enough. So then you start doing, I need a new light. I need to leave my lights on longer. When you take a plant that's new and put it into an aquarium, it's like a fish. It's been shocked. It's set on a thing. It's been banged around. It's out of the water, or it needs to settle in. And then sometimes it takes several months for it to even say, okay, let's start growing now. And then once it starts growing, then you'll go, wow, this thing is really, but sitting there looking at it and saying, well, I got to start putting more root tabs. I got to start, if you dose your tanks, I got to put more dose in there. There's a lot to learn in this hobby. I don't use dose. I don't dose my aquariums. I don't know anything about it. I tried it once. I didn't know, and to be completely fair, I just read off the back of the package and did it, and it created all sorts of new weird color, gross algae, blue color, fluorescent green stuff. And maybe again, I wasn't doing it too much, but I know I was dosing my aquarium to exactly what the bottle said. And I just decided that I'm going to use the fish waste, and I'll also use root tabs, and that's it. And if you can look behind, I have plenty of basic aquarium plants that are striving and still fighting hair algae, still getting better at it, getting better and controlling it. But still, like I said, I'm not a plant person. I'm more of I like to breed fish. And so it's another topic I want to bring up. When you start when you start looking for answers and you start looking at tanks, about a year and a half ago, I started going live, and then I would get this all the time. You got too many fish in that aquarium. You got too many fish in that aquarium. You got too many fish in that aquarium. And I was talking about just general aquariums and stuff, and not saying, hey, I breed fish. Not to say, maybe I do have too many fish in that aquarium, but I run a very high maintenance fish room. I am every single day doing water changes, every single day doing maintenance on my aquarium. It's a lot of work, and because I have a lot of stock. Depending on how you set up your aquarium and your stock, it's going to depend on your maintenance. The size of your aquarium, the smaller the box, the higher you stock it, the more maintenance you're going to need. The larger the box, it can handle, because it has more volume. It can handle, but you can still overstock a large tank. There's just a lot going on in the hobby, and I'm jumping all over the place because I'm trying to get it all at once. But I'm just saying, the main thing about this video, I've been talking about multiple little points, and I'm going to miss some key areas. I'm going to miss some spots, but I'm just trying to say, getting into the hobby, if you're going to be doing fish, learn how to take care of fish. Learn how to recognize healthy fish. Then slowly add plants or shrimp and stuff like that. Yes, you may want to say, I want tons of plants and all that stuff. Well, if that's the thing, well, then learn how to take care of plants. Then learn how to take care of fish. The reason I say this is, if you're doing them both at the same time, what happens when you need to medicate your aquarium for your fish? And it affects your plants. And then you say, what's going on with my plants? Well, maybe it's because the medication, or maybe the way the treatment is putting a hammer down on your plants. Try to tackle one thing at a time and then bring them all together. And this is what I suggest. And you may be seeing beginner, might not necessarily be beginner. I want you, if you fail at a beginner plant or beginner fish, if it dies, doesn't do well for yourself, don't beat yourself up. We've all had the same problem. Doesn't matter how long you're doing it. Doesn't matter if a person's been doing it for 50 years. If they can't remember day one of their first aquarium and maybe the struggles they had during it, because it's just been so long and they've moved on so far into the aquarium, their beginner is maybe more like moderate. You see what I'm saying? It might be a moderate entry level instead of a true beginner. Beginner is a plastic glowfish tank. A beginner is substrate and a guppy. That's beginner. Then you move on. Plants, even if they're laced beginner, are not beginner. You got to really pay attention to it, because let me talk about my plant journey a little bit, just to give you a little bit of confidence. Hornswort. What is that? Hornswort is a stringy plant. There, let me get it. Here's hornswort, right here, hornswort. This is the most beginner plant you will see in the hobby. You know how many times I've seen, even in a fish club, people say, how do I grow hornswort? And then depending on if you're talking to a plant, it was a thing, a plant person was talking at a seminar, and they kind of went, hey, I'm having they raised their hand, and it was kind of like, hornswort? I don't know, I don't keep hornswort. Well, I love hornswort, especially for breeding, because it's one long stringer. It floats on the top. It's mid-column. Great places for young fish to hide. And when you want to pull it out, it comes out in a big long piece. It's not a bunch of little teeny pieces. Easy to trim. But in the beginning, I killed hornswort like crazy. I was having the same problem for 6 months. I go, I don't get it. Is it because I don't have enough nutrient? Like I need to add fertilizers? Do I not have the right light? And it's a mess when it dies. All these needles go everywhere. But a healthy hornswort plant, you'll have some needles coming down, but a lot of people won't like it because of all the needles. But because they have dying hornswort, that's why they have tons of needles, because it's shedding. And it took me a long time to actually get to grow that. 7-8 months to really figure it out of why it was. I don't know why it was dying. Honest to God, these are the only reasons I can think of why my hornsworts were dying. Aquarium was too young. It was first set up. Aquarium was too long. Lights were too bright. And I didn't have enough fish in the aquarium far as for fertilizer to help it grow. So I was overlighting it. I believe my aquarium was too young. I needed it to balance out. And I don't know why it does so well, but I know people struggle with it. And another thing too is adding a little bit of fertilized substrate. So that helps too, but that's not it either. So you see, I don't even know why. All I know is time, lowering my light, not making my light brighter, and using and having a lot of stock of fish. That's why it started going good. And I don't know why it does. Like, see, I'm kind of contradicting myself, because adding something like stratum to the thing, those tanks, I see my hornswort really, it will really like blast off. But I'm also having tanks that don't have that, and they're doing good. So I don't know exactly what caused it to, but the only thing was like a nice settled in tank with lower light conditions. And I just think people are pounding it, and then it gets caught up with hair algae. And see, when algae starts growing on top of your plants, I don't care what plant it is, they hate it. And every time I have plants that has any type of algae, and that comes a lot in the beginning, because your tank, you're going to have your tanks on you're going to have your lights on too long. Your aquariums are going to be too bright. because you're gonna have to figure that one out, and then you'll do that by buying new lights and still having the same problem. But a lot of these lights, I mean, for typical basic plant care, I mean, I think you need to run them probably about half of what they come with. I mean, just it's kind of a blanket statement, because I went down and bought the high-end lights, and I ended up this. My favorite lights are some of these cheap lights. They're like 8-watt LED and daisy chain lights, but I just don't have. I haven't tinkered with these fluval high-end lights. I have them, but I just noticed I'm growing too much. I have to scrape my glass way too much when I have those on. I keep on. Right now, I think I'm down to like 40%. I have that thing like on almost the last setting. So I'm sorry, we're getting all over the place. But anyways, this video is about talking about all sorts of things and getting off of subjects. Anyways, new hobbyists. I'm going to leave it as this. I will continue to do videos, and maybe I can organize them better instead of having a video like this where I'm just kind of jumping on to new topic. I don't write things out. I just talk. I talk, obviously. That's why I'm not all over the place. But I think if you really listen to some of the things I say, it may help a few of you. And the things that I'm saying, maybe I'm not saying, like, I'm not going to be saying them in the right way that a super experienced plant person would be. They're going to be hearing it going, that's not the right way. You actually did. That's not why they're doing good. And I agree, because I'm not a plant person. But just remember this, new hobbyist. Everybody is struggling. Everybody's searching. Everybody's dealt with dead fish. But start with the basics. Slow down. Don't rush things. Your biggest friend in this hobby is patience and time. This will eliminate a lot of you. Moving fast, making radical changes, buying things because you think it's going to fix it sometimes helps, but usually is not the problem. There's people out there that are keeping fish tanks with no filtration, no nothing, just plants and dirt. And then you have aquariums that are having traditional sponge filters, hang-on backs, canister filters that are doing good too. There's two different ways to go, but I strongly suggest doing it. I strongly suggest me looking into the camera than looking over here. Now, I strongly suggest you start with a basic fish tank first, which is a filter, substrate, a fish. Maybe if you want to do, you don't have to go plastic plants, but I'm just saying, this is basic. Maybe a plant, something like valve, something like hornswort. And if those things don't do well, that's okay. Let the aquarium, you got 6 months for that tank to really settle in and start getting going to the right thing. Water changes, filter, water changes, maybe a heater, maybe no heater. I would be pushing on the side of probably not a heater. If you are going to get a heater, in my experience, I've had some, like everybody that's dealt with heaters, I've had some unbelievable bad experiences when my heater gets stuck on, and I literally killed like $3,000 worth of fish, and I was just disgusted by it, and I spent high dollars, $200 on a high-end aquarium where it actually didn't fail, but the thermostat, it has a thermostat on a suction, and then it has the heater, a stainless steel heater. The thermostat somehow got pulled out of the aquarium, and it stuck on, so the suction came off, and somehow it came out above the surface of the water, so it kept on thinking the outside of air was the aquarium, and it just stuck on and just cooked all these rare fish that I had. And that's when I took it out, and I do have heaters nowadays. The only heaters I use are preset heaters, and they're low, like they're preset. So like, let's say it's a 50 water, right? But they're actually not preset. It's a 50 watt heater that stays on all the time. It never turns off. So depending on what size aquarium you have, like I take a 50 watt heater that stays on all the time, and I put it in a 29 gallon tank, and it keeps my temperature right around that 79 degree water, and it just constantly on. So it doesn't matter how long, if it stays on the whole time, it's always going to it's not going to ever cook my fish. I'd rather have my fish get cold than get hot and cook up. So I just hope you get something out of this video, because it's sure we were focused on it and we went all over the place. But I appreciate every single one of you. If you're thinking about getting in fish tanks, I'm going to be there's a ton of great videos out there that is super organized and stuff. You can check them out, but take everyone with a grain of salt and really step back and look. Let's just try to learn how to keep a basic function of an aquarium, and then move to some of these beautiful, where you see just lush aquascaped aquariums with shrimps that are so beautiful, which are not neocardina, they are cardina. Am I saying that right? Cardina? Lacuna? No. Some of those fish that you have to tweak when you have to start tweaking water parameters, even though it's fairly easy, it isn't easy. When you start to tweak water parameters in fish keeping, this is when you start to get to the advanced stages of fish keeping. Beginning stage fish keeping is you're going to your faucet, putting water in your tank, and then putting some water conditioner in your tank. That's beginning. Taking water, taking all the nutrients, taking all the minerals, taking the minerals out of it to zero, and then adding different types of chemicals to get whatever pH, GH, KH that you're looking for. This is the upper scale of fish keeping. I don't care what anybody says. Even though you can claim it as it ain't hard, it isn't hard, but if you don't know the basics of fish keeping, it's very dangerous to get and go, I'm starting up an aquarium, I'm going to go straight into remineralizing and playing with water chemistry. Some of you can do it. Majority of you are not going to want to do it that way. You'd be better off just keeping fish alive, whatever comes out of your sink. Once you figure that out, maybe you buy an RO unit, an RODI, you start cutting your water a little bit, playing around with some test strips to see, hey, I lowered my KH, I lowered my GH a little bit, but not enough that you're gonna just crash your tank. But you can, like a lot of people, you can start saying, I'm gonna put a gallon of RO water in there to help soften it up. And then seeing how your fish act, seeing like that. Then when you start to fill it out, then you move to completely making water exactly how you want it. If you have one aquarium, this is going to be not that much work. If you have a bunch of aquariums, you got to make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gallons of RO water and use tons and tons of ounces of remineralization chemicals. It's a lot of work. I appreciate all of you. If you guys can hit the subscribe, I will promise you I will bring more open topic, more real world life experience. I only talk on things that I experience. I don't talk about what I read about. If I did read about it and I'm talking about it, I will let you know. I only talk about things that I've done and experienced, and that's it. I'm not comfortable talking about things that I've never done. Like example, tanks that don't have filters in it. Filterless tanks. I've never done it. Will I do it? Probably not. Why? because I like the sounds of water flow and I appreciate bubble sounds, and I really truly believe in that type of a filter, that type of a setup. Nothing against that. I don't want a quiet thing. Some of you have to have that, just not for me. I'm a breeder. I have to do lots of water changes. I cannot raise the amount of fish that I'm raising in a tank that I never do a water change in, and a tank that has no filtration or water movement. I just know it's not going to work. I have to put fresh water in, or I'm going to have a bunch of dead fish. Take care, have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one. Boy, was this a doozy, huh? No,